Everyone, welcome to 241 Joe Live. My name is Donovan Thompson here at 241 Studios. And as you can see so far, it's just me on the live stream today. We'll see if Luke or Joel is joining us today, but who knows, it may just be me. It's all good and dandy. I get to talk to you about all the nerdy news you need to know about in terms of the film world and the TV world, maybe the comic book world as well. So I got a few different things here this week. And this could be a shorter one. We'll see if shows doesn't show up. But if you haven't already, subscribe button, notification bell, that way you'll get all episodes up to 1 Joe Live 9 a.m. every day. And of course, we also do the weekly podcast 511. Typically, it's during the weeknight. We stream with myself and Winfield. Hit that subscribe button while you can see all that stuff. It's youtube.com/241studios. If you want to check out studios.com. There we have all of our central hubs for everything one. And of course, if you didn't know, we are sponsored by Powell Comics located at 4047 East Kill Avenue, Sherwood, Arkansas. There they have comic books, collectibles, graphic novels, or special guest appearances throughout the year. All right. So real quick, since I'm the only one talking, there is some gaps here in the live stream. I drink my coffee because it's 241 Joe. Coffee and Joe. So give me a second. Oh yeah, that's what you want to hear. Me sipping on coffee. Okay. So let's talk the opening weekend box office here. So, we're in week 3 of the Batman being out, right? Or the third weekend, I should say, the Batman being out. And it, of course, is still in the top 3. Or wait, it's the second weekend. Sorry. Second weekend it being out. Sorry, I've seen it 3 times, so I guess I was thinking 1, 2, 3, and I'm seeing it again later this week. So, Box Office Mojo, of course, has reported that it is still number 1 with $66 million opening, or second weekend, which is pretty good. That's only like a 40% decline, which is a really strong holdover. Typically, if I remember correctly, Batman v Superman, when it came out, it was like one of the biggest drops. It was the biggest drop ever for a comic book movie, but it was one of the biggest drops ever for any type of blockbuster movie, and that was I think like a 67% drop, which is pretty insane. It's like pretty high drop, which means typically when something like that happens, what that means is that there's a lot of people and a lot of fans coming out, to see it the opening weekend, to avoid spoilers, to just see it and to get the hype because they're excited for it. And then after that initial wave hits, especially if the movie it doesn't perform as well as, say, some other movies do, like Endgame or Infinity War or something like that, or Spider-Man No Way Home, then the second weekend, those fans might not go back. So there's a huge drop-off, right? So 40% for the Batman is a good sign, especially for a 3-hour movie, meaning that, people either were waiting to see to hear the reviews and the reactions to check it out the second weekend, or there was repeat viewing. So that's a good sign for them. Right now it's at 463.2 million globally, and it still hasn't opened up in China yet, which will probably at least add another 50 million, could to 100 million. Not quite sure. It's a 3-hour movie, but we'll see what happens. But some people are saying that it could reach up to about 900 million. I would be ecstatic if it reached that. I mean, I know The Dark Knight Rises and The Dark Knight both clocked in right over $1 billion, and that was obviously at the time a huge feat, and still is now. It's a little more commonplace for the $1 billion club for people to get in there. But a movie is 3 hours long. It's a new take on Batman. I think if it made 800 million, that would be a solid win. And we should be closing on 500 million probably today or later today, or maybe early tomorrow morning. But 800 million solid. If we hit 900 million, I think it's a win. We should be getting a sequel announcement any day. And there was some stuff we might get into here in a second, actually. Uncharted came in at 9.3 million. Sorry, guys. Which is kind of impressive because I think it had 11 million last weekend. So it had like a 18% drop or something crazy like that. And that is a good holdover. I'm not quite sure what its total is now, but it's probably creeping up on 300 million globally, or maybe 350. I need to check that out actually for next week. But it's Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fallen in line with what I expected. Of course, it's not going to be just this gangbuster movie like No Way Home was. Of course, almost no movies are like that, right? But we'll get a sequel. It's inevitable, right? To quote Thanos. And third place come in was I don't know what this movie is. Never heard of it until looked at the box office reports. But BTS Permission to Dance on Stage Seal live viewing. It made 6.8 million. So somehow it must have opened up some like special fandom screenings or something like that, and it managed to sneak past Dog, Channing Tatum's Dog, to make 6.8 million. So that's the box office. So Batman is pretty much dominating, and there's really nothing to come out between now and Doctor Strange, which Doctor Strange is like roughly a month and 3 weeks away. So which is going to probably destroy the box office again. No, there's no no pun intended. There's no way it will beat No Way Home's numbers, but it will do good. It'll do good. All right, gang. Number 2 on the list this week, the Batman. Something we've been talking about almost every week here, and something that I almost feel like we already reported on this, but I don't think it was official the last time we talked about it. But maybe it was, but we'll talk about it again. The Penguin is officially moving forward at HBO Max. I think that was a given. It's always this weird. I get you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch kind of thing. Even though studios do it all the time, especially in terms of flag planting, movie release dates, and just in general that you want to portray a sense of confidence in the property that you have. And they've been talking about this movie for the show for so long. It's like, yeah, it's just announce it already, or just to make it official on the docket. But it's official. It's happening. Colin Farrell's coming back, and reportedly it's going to be a prequel to the Batman. And everyone I've talked to, whether however your feelings about the movie are, I haven't met a single person yet who doesn't like the Penguin in this movie. He's a scene stealer, and at least I can say it 100 times now, but at least the makeup and hair effects department will probably be nominated for Academy Award. It wouldn't surprise me if he was too for best supporting actor. It's just he was that good in it, and it was a delight to watch. And I'm super excited to see what they do with it. And I think he's a great character, get his own little show. Which I was kind of thinking about it over the weekend, and that we probably they said one of the producers said that, hey, we'll get another Batman movie within the next 5 years, right? And partly it said that because we haven't had one since 2012, like a solo Batman movie with The Dark Knight Rises, which has been 10 years, right? Typically, studios want to kind of push one out between 2 to 3 years for a sequel. Warner Brothers is much different than Marvel in the last 10 years on this situation. They have really taken their time, which we'll get into here in a minute. They've really taken their time in terms of like shooting a movie and then letting it sit there. And either, I don't know if they just don't have the effects houses lined up like Marvel does or what, but they take their time in post. They really do. To whatever degree you agree with in terms of how successful the movie is as a movie. But they really take their time with it. And it's just one of those things, like you hear Marvel, like you hear like right now, Doctor Strange 2, like literally, I report yesterday, Benedict Cumberbatch is still shooting for that movie, and we're less than 2 months away. Like they're still doing reshoots for it. And it's like, Marvel they don't give a shit. They're like, hey, this is the date we have. And I mean, things do change, of course, but this is the date we have, and we're going to keep it. And they don't really move their flags around. Warner Brothers, a little different, which again we're going to get to here in a second, kind of our main topic of the week. Excuse me. Another cool thing here is Ben Affleck, his concept art for his Batman solo movie has now been released. At least what we think is Batman concept art for it. So what's kind of complicated and interesting about this is that this is coming out right after the release of the Batman, right? There's always this the old school way and then the new school way. There's always going to be a tug of war there, right, in every aspect of life, and part of that happens with when you have a superhero change, an actor. So there's a big camp of people who really like Ben Affleck's portrayal, and so they're always going to be like, he's my Batman. No one will ever beat him. I want more Ben Affleck movies. Hire him back. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Whatever. And then there's the other camp that is like, no, let's see what Robert Pattinson can do, and I like Batman or whatever, or he's the best, or however it works, right? So whenever a new movie comes like this, typically, sometimes concept artists, they have the ability now, or they feel more secure, free to release things they worked on for other movies. So, example, you worked on, this is kind of like something we showed last week. So, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Now Sony is sitting out and marketing the movie with all three Spider-Man, Tobey, Andrew, and Tom. So the concept artists now who worked on the movie feel more comfortable sharing their stuff. They know that if they share something that might contain all three Spider-Man, which is a spoiler for the movie if you went into it blind, now they feel more comfortable with that. So they have the ability to put it out there and not get a gag order put on them, as they would say, right? So it's a job security kind of thing. So same thing with this kind of stuff. So sometimes it's safe to wait until a project completely falls through and is replaced by a whole new other project before you kind of release your previous work. This guy went to the extreme. So we know that initially after Justice League with Joss Whedon, his reshoots, Ben Affleck was supposed to be making a solo Batman movie, but for various reasons, personal and just creatively, it couldn't come together. So it kind of fell to the wayside. But whenever you're still working on like a movie of that scale, things are happening in the forefront for a long period of time, like a very long period of time, and trying to get set designs and costumes and getting visual effects people in order and kind of breaking down sequences for action stuff. We did get what appeared to be a action sequence between Deathstroke and Ben Affleck's Batman, Batfleck, a couple months ago, and that was really cool to see. And it was basically almost like a replication of the Batman Arkham Origins fight cutscene, which is like what everybody wants, right? But this right here looks like one of the early concept designs for Ben Affleck's new Batman suit. And what I said was what's interesting about this is that you can look at this all day long and be like, oh, this is what we could have got. But you got to understand, a concept artist is hired to do a lot of concepts, right? So this could be one of 100 different suits that was made. So you could fantasize all day long about this, but this may not even ever have come to the screen. And it's much different than what we got with Ben Affleck's other stuff. He was typically more bulkier, more armored up. Even in the new Flash movie that's coming out next year. Again, we'll get to here in a minute. It's coming out next year. He still has this armored up look, right? He's got these big metal plates attached to him, with almost like more like a Kevlar fabric in between these plates, to kind of for body protection. But here, what's interesting is that he is, as you can see in the bottom right here of the screen, he is much more toned down. Even his bat symbol is not as, it don't have that Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller size bat symbol to it. It has this more streamlined, old school movie Batman, right? It's even like the old school regular Batman comics, but I think it looks cool. It's got more of a, it's tactical. It's still got some meat to it, but it's nothing as big and bulky as his other stuff. And I think he's one of the best live action looking Batman we've ever had. There is something to say that he does look a little bulky sometimes, and I guess this is unfair, but some people were saying that he looked fat, and it wasn't fat at all. He just has the way the suit is. Ben Affleck's actually worked out for the role. So when they put even another muscle suit on top of all his muscles, he's gonna look kind of thick and kind of plushy. Compared to someone like Robert Pattinson's Batman, who didn't really work out for the role, as maybe he did a little, but it's not super apparent that he worked out super hard for the movie. When he puts on a suit, his suit fills out a little bit more, right? Because he looks more muscular and intimidating versus when it's off of him. Ben Affleck almost looks more intimidating when he's got his shirt off, or he's got his suit off when he's training, in my opinion. But this is cool. I like it. I think it's a nice little Batman suit. I love the utility belt. I like this grayscaled color here. Still keeping with the it looks like slightly longer ears, which is always a talking point for Batman people. I like it. What's kind of weird though, it looks like his belt has like a W for a Wayne symbol. And I'm like, you're going to give away your secret identity, Bruce. That's not a good idea here. Anyway, thought it was cool. It's something worth talking about. Okay, so the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer dropped. I think last Monday we talked about it would be dropping sometime later in the week, and it did. I mean, there's just a few talking points here after I drink my coffee. Coffee. Hashtag 2 for 1 Joe. Obi-Wan Kenobi, obviously super excited about it. It's Ian McGregor's coming back. Hayden Christensen's coming back. I mean, the prequel movies are my Star Wars, right? That was the Star Wars that I grew up with. You know, there's a lot of hate. You know, it's like the Ewok thing in Return of the Jedi. When I grew up, I was 7 years old when Episode 1 Phantom Menace come out, and Jar Jar Binks was my boy. You know, he was like the one that was like, oh man, you know, this guy's hilarious. You know, I'm 7 years old, and you know, I remember I still haven't seen a movie capture the merchandising extravaganza like that since, right? Or at least nothing has stuck in my mind as powerful as that. And one of those things was, like, I remember the Taco Bell toppers. When you could go, you get Sebulba, you could get Anakin, get Darth Maul at Taco Bell. There was you had the cups and these giant other toppers, right, with the character on them, and you were sucking the straw. You thought you were the coolest thing ever. That was what I remember about Star Wars as a kid in terms of merchandise. And there was just everywhere. You couldn't turn around. So those movies were my Star Wars. And, you know, John Williams with the Duel of the Fate score coming in here. There's a lot of, you know, John Williams didn't have to go that hard for the score, and he's burning a piano. He's playing so hard. If you feel that in here, and I mean, we're so close out, May 25th, you would assume that what he was doing is things that he recorded for the show, but we don't know. He could as well. That could have been repurposed from a previous thing from the prequels or whatever. But as you're seeing here in my notes, Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer sees Ian McGregor's Jedi Master on the run from the Sith Inquisitors. And I'm not the biggest authority on the Sith Inquisitors or things that were happening in the Clone Wars or even Rebels or any of those other animated spin-offs. Just because I haven't watched all of it. I've watched a little bit, dabbled here and there. I've typically fallen into the live action stuff when it comes to my Star Wars. But I know a little bit. And it looks like, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi is on planet Tatooine. This is after Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin has been reborn into Darth Vader. And Ian McGregor is now protecting the last hope, right? Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. And we did see Joel Edgerton's Uncle Owen on there as well, who's reprising his small role from the very end of Revenge of the Sith, which is great because it's like everyone's aged up now to the appropriate time, which they would be for this show, since we've had the prequels. Sorry, everyone. I literally, you know, this is truly a 2 for 1 joke because I was hitting the snooze button, and I was like, I got to get do this live stream and make some coffee. So the time zone is still kind of messing with me a little bit. I'm not 100% there. And every slug of coffee I get makes me more powerful. So I'm really trying to not always drink coffee, but still have a in there every now and then so I can keep going. So he's on Tatooine watching Luke, and it looks like some Sith Inquisitors who are basically... it's weird because they're never mentioned in the live action movies, but they're heavily involved, even in like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the game, and of course the Clone Wars and things like that. They're basically a subsect of Sith that are, you know, almost like mercenaries or assassins, and they're going to search for other Jedi who may have survived the Order 66 initiative. And again, I could be getting on this wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty close to accurate. And so they're kind of, you know, they work for Darth Vader, works for the Emperor, and they're kind of going out, snuffing these people out. And it looks like we're getting these Sith Inquisitors on the trail of they're maybe picking up the scent of Obi-Wan and even maybe Luke a little bit. So it looks like Obi-Wan is going to have to come out of retirement, as they say, to get off Tatooine and get them away from Luke's scent, and take care of them the best he can, and then double back and then get back to Tatooine, obviously, to line up where we are with Luke in A New Hope. What's interesting is that Kathleen Kennedy kind of come out and said recently there is some talks about there, of course there's potential for a season 2, but hopefully they, really think about it. As she said that, they have to really understand or think about why they would want to be doing another show of this, which I think it's a very valid thing to be asking yourself, because I mean, how much, they're having Hayden Christensen come back as Darth Vader, and it looks like they're going to fight one more time, right? We've heard they're going to fight. It's going to be big and epic, and it's going to be a big deal. It's kind of, there's some wiggle room there, apparently, in A New Hope of, did they meet again before their final battle on Mustafar and Revenge of the Sith, and now, but it's like, how many times can they do that? And if you do a season of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the next season you don't have Darth Vader in there, which you don't have to make it great, but it's like one of those things, like you kind of want to have escalation, and you want to do cooler and cooler things as you go on. Typically, not always. It's not a good rule of thumb, but they typically do this, right? So seeing what they would do with the second season, it's like, man, how did he even stay on Tatooine at all with Luke? Like, what are we doing here, with Obi-Wan Kenobi? So I think personally they really need to go out on a high note. They didn't make this is it's great we're getting Ewan back. This needs to be his swan song, and we need to feel like, hey, this was a great limited series, and we can move on to something else, and also move on to something that's not Tatooine, because we have been getting a lot of Tatooine lately with Boba Fett, and he's on. It's been the Mandalorian a little bit. Of course, we get it with every single Star Wars trilogy. It's it's a huge focal point in the universe, at least how it relates to the Skywalkers. And it's like, man, for some place that's very dire and desolate, we spend a lot of time here, and I want to see new worlds and not sand stuff, So I'm kind of ready for that, not sand stuff. But I'm excited for it. It's the trailer slaps, as the kids say. It slaps hard. Alrighty, let's go to our big topic of the week, and I'm not gonna spend too much time on this again. I'm by myself this week, so it's hard to kind of keep the whole thing going. I commend you podcasters and other live stream people who just by yourself and just talk the entire time. I'm learning during this that it's not the hardest thing in the world, but definitely you have to keep talking constantly, and when you want to drink coffee, it makes it difficult. So, DC movies change dates. I won't lie, this one really hurt me when I saw this one later last week. I was like, when it come out, I just like almost like died a little on the inside. I was like, no, like we've been seeing, hey, just these movies. I mentioned earlier, DC has this penchant for making a movie. Actually, they have it. Let's rewind. Actually, they have this ability to, hey, we're Warner Brothers, we're DC. Here's 10 movies we're going to announce, and here's the potential dates for them. And then years after that date has come and passed, we haven't heard anything about the movie since then, other than it's in active development, right? And that's been heartbreaking. Like, I can't remember, Cyborg, Green Lantern Corps. There's so many of them, right? We're getting The Flash and Black Adam now, but that was from the list for much longer than it may appear to you now. But point being is that we had even this trailer that plays before the Batman. Every time I've seen the Batman, this trailer plays, and now it's obsolete. They still haven't taken it down for obvious reasons, because it's a DC property trailer. But they were pinning this as like, this is the year of of DCEU, right? We have Black Adam, Super Pets, whatever. It's a fun anecdotal thing. We have Shazam, Black Adam, we have The Flash, and we have Aquaman, all coming out in 2023, and even Batgirl on HBO Max. That's a lot of DCEU. That's more than Marvel has produced in a single year as well, in terms of movies that are released theatrically. And that's a lot. And it's like one of those things like, it kind of like the stars aligned, the pandemic happened in terms of all these release dates and schedules. And it's like, man, this is going to be a banger year. Like, I'm so glad we're getting, Doctor Strange 2 and Thor Love and Thunder, Black Panther, all these other things. But I was more excited to get the Batman, Black Adam, the Flash in the same year. I mean, Black Adam, again, like I'm actually I like The Rock. Like, I like him as an actor. He's he's to me the most the biggest or he's the most representation of what the old school actors used to be in terms of he's an actor that could typically go into any franchise and it makes money, right? He's an old school blockbuster actor like a Tom Cruise or like an Arnold or Stallone was back in the 90s. Someone that the actor, they have the star power that kind of brings it in. It's been different now. Now it's been the IP or the character. That's what brings the people in, right? Joker makes $1 billion because Joaquin Phoenix is playing him, not the other way around. And now like Robert Pattinson is Batman, and people are coming up to Batman, and they're going to see if Robert Pattinson is good or not. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, or Chris Hemsworth can all go make a movie. Won't be near as successful as any of their other stuff. Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. Those characters are bigger than the actors. It used to not be that way. We used to have like stars, and The Rock is one of those that have still has become one of those kind of things. So, I've been excited for Black Adam, and we have Dr. Fate, Pela, Pierce Brosnan in there, which is, you could give me a 10-minute short film of just his scenes in the movie and cram them together, and I would pay full price theatrical release to go watch that movie. So to me, I'm watching Dr. Fate movie when I go see Black Adam, and Black Adam happens to be in this movie. So that's what I'm really excited for that. Shazam, it was supposed to be coming in 2023, so which also hurt me because I'm a huge Shazam advocate, and I love that first movie. I think it's probably their strongest movie just overall in terms of nailing the tone, the pacing, the characters, the heart, the humor, and the spectacle. And I was a big fan of that movie, and I just thought it hit all the notes. It was like the closest maybe to a Marvel movie, maybe, but it's a compliment, and it wasn't. It didn't have some of the qualities that some people maybe think of negatively about a Marvel movie. It just felt like they were taking the comics and doing a good interpretation of that. And I really liked it a lot. And I think it's also a Christmas movie. It takes place during Christmas, which I love. I love that. Aquaman, I was excited for it just because that last 30 minutes is, as I said earlier, is just a banger. That movie the first movie is wild. It's like, okay, how many times can we blow into a wall, into a building to enter to the scene? Here's 7 different tones. The acting and the dialogue is kind of cringy in places. I say kind of loosely. It's cringy a lot of places. But those last 20, 30 minutes was, like God tier, and, for me. So I was always in, but, it wasn't like just foam out the mouth for it. But the one I was foam out the mouth for, which I think we all are, was The Flash. And this is because, step aside Ezra Miller as The Flash, as Barry Allen, we were getting Michael Keaton back as the Batman. And that's a huge deal, right? It hasn't been Batman since 1992, I believe, when Batman Returns came out, the year I was born, good year. And he obviously was Batman also in Batman 89. And, that was a lot of people's Batman, including my Batman growing up. That was, I was born in 92, but I grew up watching those 2 movies, and then, I was born into Val Kilmer and George Clooney as well. So those movies were on repeat all the time. Sorry, everyone. I remember buying, I've told people this before, and I've told Daniel on the podcast in the past, but I remember buying the VHS, like all of them. I had them all in VHS, and we had this entertainment system, old and wooden, and it was a tube TV in there, and of course you could have like your Pioneer sound system, and this is going to start showing my age here a little bit. And I had all these VHSs, and I had them lined up in like there's like this there's molding on the actual entertainment system, and it could fit like on the way it sit on the carpet. You could like almost squeeze a VHS in between the carpet and this molding of the thing. So what I did was, as a kid, I don't know, this is starting my, I guess, collection obsession, or just the idea of looking at things for enjoyment, right? So I would have these VHSs, and I would shove them in between the crack, just like the top half inch would fit in there, and I'd have them all in there. And I would just sit there and look at my collection. For a long time, I did not have Batman Returns. I just had 89 Forever and Batman and Robin. And I was like obsessing over finishing my collection because, we didn't have, we had video stores, but it also wasn't, at the time, I was probably 8 or 9 or so. And, Batman Returns was like it was a 9-year-old movie at that point. So it wasn't like I could just go to Amazon because it didn't exist and order offline. We didn't really have internet. We had not really at that point, actually, at least my household. So, it was a really cool thing. I went to a video store and found Batman Returns, actually a record store, a VHS Batman Returns for like $2. It was like brand new. And when I collected that, it was just like seeing all those together and rewatching them constantly. Batman Returns being the least one I rewatched, actually. But watching those constantly was a huge thing for me, and obviously my love for Batman. But Michael Keaton was a huge part of that, and especially that first movie. And seeing him come back as Bruce Wayne Batman is a massive deal for a lot of people, especially people who were old enough to watch the movie in theaters. And, especially when he comes from a place and time when Adam West was, the only live action Batman we had. And then Batman had a renaissance in the mid to late 80s with Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. And then you get Batman 89 right after that. And maybe it was early to mid 80s, actually. But you get 89 right after that. And that's a huge turnaround for Batman. It's a huge thing. And seeing him come back again, take or leave. Actually, leave Ezra Miller. Like, I'm not game for him. I'm okay with this performance in, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I thought that was much better than Joss Whedon one, but I'm really hoping they do something with him in the Flash. I'm not a fan of him. I think it's not great casting for the Flash. So I'm hoping they come up with it. My point is, here's the new release dates. That was a long-winded way and some backstory on Donovan to get to this right here. Let me drink some coffee first. Again, I can't stress enough how much I drink a sip of coffee, of how much more powerful I get. Like my muscle fibers are getting, denser as I do it. So bear with me, to keep going on this 2-for-1 Joe live stream. 2022. Okay, now Super Pets is moved to July 29th. Whatever, it's fine. But Black Adam has been pushed back to October 21st. So now it's a Halloween rolling into Thanksgiving kind of movie, right? It's going to play from Halloween all the way through to Thanksgiving. Which, if it's a 45-day release window, third Thursday of the month for September. So it looks like September's Thanksgiving. I think it could be November. I can't remember at the moment. I'm going to get in trouble for that one. But the point is, it's October now, which sucks. It was supposed to be in July. It was actually my birthday movie this year, but now it's been pushed back. So Shazam, which was coming out in 2023, now has been pushed to December 16th. So I am okay with that. Like, out of all the things that could have happened here, I'm getting Shazam this year instead of next year, which is down for it. And also makes total sense because Shazam was shooting before all these damn movies. And so it makes total sense that it's coming out before all of them, and I'm excited to see it. It's also, there's something cool about having Black Adam and Shazam back to back. And you gotta wonder, like, if they're doing, I guarantee, there was a somewhat of a post tease in, the deleted scene of Shazam, which I don't know why they took it out, but when they're having all the kids there at the altar, or in the, I can't think of what it is, the place where they get their magic, there's an empty chair. They're like, who sits there? And it was like lightning. It was like, oh, it's The Rock. It's Black Adam. Well, that they should have kept that in, but that's teeing up Black Adam. And I really think there's going to be something else in Shazam 2 here at the end. Shazam 2 will not have Black Adam in it. At least I don't think so. But I think that it will be teasing up at the end of Shazam 2 that, hey, Shazam 3 is going to be Black Adam versus Shazam. I know The Rock wants to fight Superman really bad, but he's got to understand that Black Adam fights Shazam. He fights Billy Batson. And that's where the bottom line is, as I say. So, excited for Shazam. That's cool. Coming out December 16th. We're just going to fight Avatar 2, which is, they're kind of similar demographics here, so I'm not quite sure what the game plan is there. tell you right now, would not surprise me if it gets pushed back to, these all move again. I could see Shazam taking now Aquaman's spot. So let's go 2023. So Aquaman, who was coming out in December, which was going to take on Avatar 2, is now, which it came out in December. It's in 2019, 2018. God dang. See, they take forever to make these stupid movies. So Aquaman is coming out now in March. So it's taking that Batman, the release date that we just went through. And yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. It's not the biggest deal ever, but man, it's still 3 months that I have to, go without it. I want it now. I want my content. But then The Flash, so Michael Keaton's Batman in The Flash has been pushed to June 23rd. It was supposed to come out, I think, this year in November, I believe, maybe October. And it's coming out in June 20. They got pushed back 6-7 months. And it's like, God dang, that hurts. That really hurts. And what really is interesting about that is, how is that going to affect Batgirl? It was always weird to me that they were saying, hey, Batgirl is coming out in the fall time, probably December on HBO Max. And part of that's like, okay, it's coming out literally right after The Flash comes out, because The Flash, as we all know, is supposed to be this, multiversal changing movie, right? So The Flash will go back in time. Things he's going to do his adventure. Things are going to change, and then it'll be reset, right? We'll have potentially a different Batman. We'll have all these, who knows if Henry Cavill will be Superman. We might have Supergirl in the universe now. All these different things. So it's a big deal in terms of the state of the universe, and also kind of realigning the audience back into what's going on. And now it's like, okay, so Batgirl hasn't been mentioned yet. They're shooting right now. We're getting stuff of Firefly and Brendan Fraser and Michael Keaton stunt doubles on the sets as they're shooting right now. And you're telling me that they're going to have Batgirl, who has Michael Keaton as Batman in it, you're going to have him come out before The Flash? I don't see it happening. And I really wonder if it will get pushed back as well. Makes sense, because right now we have 3 DC things coming out this year. I don't know what else. I don't think they're shooting. It's what's wild is, like, Marvel feels like they always have something shooting every 3-4 months, and that way they can put out these 2 to 3 movies a year. DC is fixing to blow their load, really quickly here. By the time June comes out for next year, they have nothing else on the docket. Like, they're not shooting Black Adam 2. They don't have Shazam 3 shooting. They don't have Aquaman 3 shooting. Hell, they're still shooting these other ones right now. They won't have definitely won't have the Flash 2 shooting. So you kind of wonder what's next. Maybe they won't even be on production on the Batman 2 next year. Like, maybe next fall. Maybe. But I'd be surprised probably if that happened. I suspect. I mean, maybe not. We'll see what happens, but I'd be really surprised. So it's like, oh man, this is the next year and a half of our life now, mainly waiting for these damn movies to come out, and it really sucks because I just want the DCEU to be on par with Marvel in terms of just releasing content, and we'll get Peacemaker 2 by next year for sure. And releasing quality content and a universe building content. That's what we want. I think that's what we all want. And it's frustrating when this kind of stuff happens. Obviously, it's all business related. It's funny watching The Rock's Instagram release pertaining to this. He was just like pepping it up, like this is a good thing for you. Like, this is the thing you want. And it's like, Rock, I want Black Adam yesterday. Like, that's what I really wanted. But now I don't want it to be a Halloween movie. But it is what it is. They have marketers sitting there saying, hey, we'll make $3 more extra if we release the movie 6 months later. So let's do it. But it does make that Heroes trailer that plays before the Batman a little less exciting, because you're like, okay, well, this ain't real. It's not all 2022 now, so we have to wait. And also, here's another thing too. So you're telling me now that DC Fandom, which we've covered both times now on the podcast, you're telling me that is going to be the same movies again? Like, the only thing that was different for DC Fandom, besides the TV show stuff, which is actually they do a lot of, is it's been these movies. The only thing that was different was Super Pets last year. So they talked about Black Adam, Shazam, Aquaman, and The Flash in the first DC Fandom, and the Batman. But we've had the Batman now. But even on the second one, we talked about Black Adam, Shazam, the Batman, Aquaman, and the Flash, and now Super Pets. So it's like, so you're telling me now, DC fandom is probably like September, which is right before, or August, September, which is right before Black Adam. We're going to talk about Black Adam, Shazam, Aquaman, the Flash again. They have to. This year they have to have some big announcements like, hey, we have a director attached to Green Lantern. We have X, Y, and Z. We're moving on the Flash 2, even though the Flash hasn't come out. Something. Like it's going to be 3 years in a row of the same thing. The second year is not as strong as the first year because of that reason. And I'm telling you, they gotta pull something out of the hat, something special. Because Batgirl, we'll get some Batgirl footage for sure, but we need to do something. All right, let's kind of burn through some of these. We're kind of coming up on the hour mark here, which I'm actually impressed with myself. I've actually been going on for quite a bit of time now, and haven't completely collapsed or fainted. So drink some coffee. Oh, it's starting to get cold. Not the greatest. Sorry, everybody. Daredevil in development. Again, we're going to burn through these. We're getting close to the end. Marvel Studios has reportedly opened up a new production company called Blind Faith Productions. Blind Faith, okay, blind. Matt Murdock, he's Catholic Faith. Blind Faith Productions, LLC. And this is from Murphy's Multiverse. Sounds like an Inception fan, maybe. And a Multiverse fan. So, reported to shoot this fall. And it's very vague. They're either opening up a TV show, or they're doing a TV show or a movie. Daredevil has been in the TV, has been a TV property within this Marvel last few years on Netflix. I would like to see a movie though. I love the TV show aspect of it, but give me a movie. Like I would like it's weird because they're fixing to drop. I mean, maybe it's this week. I believe they're going to drop the Disney Plus. Or the Netflix shows on Disney Plus. And I would like to see just a whole new movie that reboots as Charlie Cox, seeing, not like, we don't have to see his origin again, but maybe seeing something that alludes to his origin. But like this universe, this rules, all these things. And I'd love to see that with, with a different cast or same cast of characters with just different plot. I think that'd be great. And have more of that, try to keep it as serious as you can, kind of. But I want to see some fun in there. Like Daredevil's he's kind of like the Flash. He's doing all these extravagant, crazy things, and it's very dark and brooding. He's getting the hell beat out of him, but he always manages to smile, and that's important. He's the man without fear. So give me a movie. I want to see a movie. I think Disney Plus would be a great place to put it on there. Sure, why not? I mean, I would love to see it in theaters, but I'm fine with that. She-Hulk revealed. So let's look at this real quick. This is something we got finally. Tatiana Maslany. Maslany, is that her name? I can't. Maslany? I can't. I'm going to butcher that. Someone's going to be mad at me. But she was obviously cast as She-Hulk a long time ago. We had some test footage at one of the Disney, I don't think it was an Expo 23 or Expo 23. I don't think it was one of those, or D23, it's what it is. But I think it was some trade or finance or investor call or something like that. We saw some, not investor call, investor meeting thing. We saw some She-Hulk footage, right? And here is some, I'm actually showing you now. Here's some, in the bottom right corner of the screen, here's some merchandise here that has her, when we saw her legs and her backside, her butt and that kind of stuff in the trailer, but now we're seeing the front side of her, right? Which is everyone's kind of always wondering, what's she going to look like? Because, Mark Ruffalo turned into the Hulk. And, obviously he's went through different phases now with being Smart Hulk, and you can really see Mark Ruffalo, but initially he was more the monster, right, than the man. And you could still see Mark Ruffalo in there, but he was more Hulk. And as we've went on, they've managed to kind of creep in Mark Ruffalo more and more with the facial expressions until we got to Smart Hulk to kind of really blend that together and to show that they're one and the same. And also the technology's caught up to where we can do that successfully. So it's always like, what's she going to look like? Because in the comics, She-Hulk doesn't look, Jennifer Walters, I believe is her name. She doesn't look she looks pretty. She don't look like a monster, right? She kind of maintains her human look in her Hulk form. And it looks like they're doing the same thing here in the merchandise in the show. And she's in great shape. She's got some muscles and then some. And she looks like, here she's wearing like this classic. It looks like more like an 80s or 90s kind of outfit. But you can tell, and I really hope this, like, she's going to be a lawyer as She-Hulk. Please, please keep her as a lawyer. And one thing I'm a fuzzy on, I don't think she turns back into the Hulk. I think she maintains being She-Hulk. So I think once this happens, I think she is that forever. So I'm really hoping that we're getting some lawyer scenes as She-Hulk, and she's in a suit, and she is looking dapper, and sending people to fucking prison. It'd be awesome. And I really want to see Matt Murdock's or Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock show up in the show. I feel like you have to. If there's one show that he has to show up in, it has to be this one. It has to be this one. Okay. Man, there's so much more news. We're like halfway. I think we can burn through this stuff. The Boys season 3 trailer, real quick. I think it looks dope. I won't lie to you. This is a thing I've kind of learned in the pandemic era, is that things are coming out slower than they did in terms of TV and release. For obvious reasons, right? New protocols. It's harder to get things made, get people together. People are getting sick. Things are shutting down. So I'm having trouble sometimes when a new season gets dropped or released. I'm like, man, what happened last season? And so I'm kind of feeling that a little bit with The Boys. But watching the trailer, it looks good. It looks like our main heroes in the show are, as in the non-heroes, right? They're getting superpowers, and they're going to fight Homelander and all the baddies. So I'm excited to see where that goes, and excited to see how they do with superpowers, and if they become corrupted in some way, or they kind of start feeling the same problems that Homelander and them have succumbed to. I'm excited to see it. I think it's it's one of those shows that I've talked to Daniel about this yesterday, actually, or day before yesterday, but to show that it's kind of gory and raunchy in places, not in places, in a lot of places, but there is some deeper stuff there, and I think that when they get to the root of those kind of things, the show comes alive pretty magically. So I'm excited for it, and I believe me and Daniel are covering The Boys Diabolical, the animated cartoon that's on Amazon Prime. I think that's our podcast this week before we catch up with Bruce Hutchinson next week for The Truman Show, and then Moon Knight after that. So if you like The Boys, then check out Diabolical, because me and Daniel will be talking. I haven't watched a single episode yet, so I got to catch up, but me and Daniel will be talking about it this week, which will be cool. I'm excited to watch it. And burn through them. So, also, Deadpool 3 director. So, Sean Levy, it's funny because I was talking to someone a couple weeks ago, I was like, man, Sean Levy is becoming like one of my favorite directors, because I forgot, but he made Real Steel, a movie I really adored, and when we're getting a Disney Plus show on that now, I'm a sucker for father-son stuff. If we get to the point where you see the stuff I make, then you're going to see that's a huge thing in everything I do, and so I'm a sucker for that, right? It hits really hits home for me. So seeing Real Steel, he'll make that. I was like, whoa, he made that, because I love Free Guy. Free Guy is my top 5 of last year. I think it was or no, it wasn't. I think it was number 6 last year, but I loved it. I watched it again recently, and I thought it was just a fun movie, and the pacing, the directing, everything about it, I just thought was really well done. And when he was announced for making the Adam Project, I was like, okay, I'm in. And also just the way it is, time travel, father-son story. I'm in, right? And I watched it over the weekend, and I didn't think it wasn't this generation's E.T. as I've seen before. Also, Skydance made it, so shout out to my Skydance peeps out there. But I liked it. I did get emotional. I think part of that's because just, again, it hits close home to me. But I enjoyed it. I still think I really like Sean Levy, and it looks like him and Ryan Reynolds really get along. And then Ryan Reynolds announced, hey, I'm going to complete my Sean Levy trilogy with Deadpool 3. So it looks like now that this will be the third movie they're going to work together on. And I think it's a great fit. I'm excited to see what happens. And, to me, that obviously we got a director, we have writers on it now. Ryan Reynolds has probably been pushing for this for a long time. It's been since 2019 since we had Deadpool 2. So it's been, over 3 years, almost 3 years since we've had a sequel. And I'm very curious if he shows up in Multiverse of Madness. I still think it's very possible. And I'm excited to see it. We'll probably have news on it soon. It wouldn't surprise me, because it looks like, granted, pandemic may have kind of construed this a little bit, it looks like Sean Levy can really pump them out. So they may be shooting this thing by the end of the year, Wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, they got a director that had writers on it for a while. I suspect we're going to get something between the mid to late year here of Deadpool 3, which tells me we'll probably get Deadpool 3 maybe next year, possibly. And it could be 2024, but I really feel like we'll get it end of next year. I don't know that. I mean, there might not be room for it, but they may make room for it, or they may push something else out to kind of give room for it. Okay. Number 9, MCU Halloween special. Michael Giacchino is confirmed to direct, not compose, but direct Werewolf by Night. He might compose it also. And I say compose because he is the composer. He makes the score, the music for the Batman, which is released, which is I thought was a great score. Rogue One. He made Thor: Love and Thunder, which is coming out this June, I believe, and he's also doing Jurassic World Dominion. It's just a few of the movies he's worked on and that's current in the last recent years. So he's a really high-profile composer, and he's going to do Werewolf by Night, which is awesome, right? We're getting a Halloween special in the MCU, obviously coming out, I would assume, this year on Halloween. And we're going to have, hopefully, maybe Blade will show up, Moon Knight, and maybe a few werewolves. So I'm excited for that one, and yeah, that's all I can say about it. Like, give it to me now. Like, I'm ready. And also give me Moon Knight now. Like, I'm excited for Moon Knight. I want all the episodes out yesterday. Casting news of the week: Kraven the Hunter, Gotham Knights. Didn't know this was a thing. And then the new mutants here. So Kraven the Hunter, Christopher Abbott is cast as the Foreigner in Kraven the Hunter. He is the half brother to Chameleon, which we I misspelled Chameleon here, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. Who was originally a Spider-Man villain, actually, and so is the Foreigner, also originally a Spider-Man villain. But real quick on the Foreigner, he knows martial arts, of course, and he also has this ability to kind of get people into a hypnotic trance. But he's the half brother Chameleon. Tells me that there's gonna be obviously this will be a family issue drama thing. I don't have much to say about other than that. It's interesting. I'm kind of tired of my casting news actually because every week's been Kraven the Hunter, and I'm like, geez, just announce all of them already. I know they're working through it and doing it as they come, but I want some more interesting casting news. Gotham Knights. The reason I brought this up is because I was like, I didn't know this was a show that's coming out on the CW, and I didn't even put the actors being cast or actresses being cast. I just put the characters. Duella Dent. What the hell? Duella Dent. You tell me Harvey. You tell me Two-Face had a fucking kid, and her name is Duella Dent. Like, what? I didn't know that. And maybe I blocked it out of my mind. I don't remember this. Carrie Kelly, fine, whatever. Dark Knight Returns Robin. And then Turner Hayes. I can't think who Turner Hayes is. But it sounds like we're getting a Gotham Knights show with these characters. And I'm like, do we need this? Does the CW need to be just making these shows based on the most oddball? I mean, I'm glad they're getting some love. Like, fine. That's fine. But, like, it's one of the things that always kind of kills me is, why does DC have this ability to sit there and be like, okay, let's do... I know CW is different because they don't want to touch Superman. They don't want to touch... Even though they're doing Superman Lois. They want to do Batman. They want to do The Flash. Even though they're doing The Flash. Because of the movie stuff happening. That's changed some. But it's like, give me... Like, if you're going to do it, just do the Justice League on TV. Like, the real Justice League. Not all the fucking Arrowverse characters combined. Do that and then start branching out, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with it. And also, your ratings are going to be better. No one knows who Duella Dent is. People are, you could have done a Two-Face TV show. People would have loved that. Or a Harvey Dent TV show with Batman in the background. That would have been much better. And you would have sold better. And I would probably watch that. I'm not going to watch Duella Dent. I just doesn't interest me, the idea behind it. A Gotham show without Batman just seems painfully painful. It just sounds painfully painful. Last bit of thing here, I thought this was interesting. This has been more interesting for people to talk to about this one. But the New Mutants, John Hamm has confirmed that he was in talks to play Mr. Sinister for the New Mutants. It's pretty interesting. Also, I love that John Hamm's open to being in the comic world, which I never thought he wasn't. Like, again, he was a solid choice. Like, he was my choice for Batman v Superman before Ben Affleck was announced. I was like, give John Hamm the role. He's perfect. I eventually loved the idea of Ben Affleck being on there, but I was always rooting for him, and I still think he could be, maybe in a multiverse situation. But I'm excited. That's cool. I mean, Mr. Sinister, it's fine. Do it. I could see him. He'd be a great villain. He's almost a villain in Mad Men. But I gave him something. I mean, John Hamm's a great actor, and they need to do it. Last two bits of news here, which are kind of, we're going to kind of take a different tone here. Brent Renaud has passed away here in Arkansas. And I'm sure you've seen all of the news the last couple of days. It's very, very sad news. He was killed while filming in Irpin, Ukraine, on March 13th, which is yesterday. Um, he was co-founder of the Arkansas Motion Picture Institute here, and he's also the executive and artistic director of the Little Rock Film Festival. I've seen a lot of my friends over the last 24 hours post pictures and images and just condolences and that kind of stuff to the family. Um, and I've obviously heard of the Renault brothers a lot in my time here in Arkansas being a filmmaker. And truth be told, I never actually got to meet them. Uh, you know, I kind of come onto the scene a little bit later than some of my friends did, and I think it was the last year, 2015, was the last year of the Little Rock Film Festival, and I had a film in there. 'Twas the Night of the Krampus, and a few of my other friends and colleagues, they all had films in theirs too, right? And so we all got to go to the Little Rock Film Festival. This is before I lived in Little Rock, and I drove down there every day with Johnny Brandon and Jared Paul Beck, and it was a great time. And it really, making movies is super fun, and it's challenging and all those kind of things. But going to a film festival, especially a good one, really it contextualizes everything that you do, and it makes you feel like, okay, hey, this is why I'm doing this. I'm doing this kind of stuff to show it to a large amount of people, and I'm doing this stuff um, to share my art, but also to just see how people react to it, good or bad. And that's something that's what to me movie making is, right? Is sharing it and then enjoying it with everybody, and then also sharing all your hard work with your friends, and then also celebrating with your friends, and then meeting new people and networking. And that's the beauty of all this stuff. So I come away from the Little Rock Film Festival, and it's last year, my first year, but it's last year and my last year technically. You come away feeling reinvigorated, and like, man, I can't wait to make something else and hopefully get in next year so I can do this again. Like, you just go to the parties and you meet people, and it's exciting, and you get to watch everyone's films, and you feel, like you feel inspired by all the art you're seeing, and like, man, they did something really good, and maybe I can do something better, or just maybe I can hope I can do something better as good as that. And it's fantastic. And again, I never met Brent or his brother, but I do. They gave us Little Art Film Festival, and it gave me perspective on why we do what we do. So just shout out to them for putting that work in for people like me, and condolences to his family. And it's super sad, and yeah, I hope yeah, there's not much to say there. It's a sad situation. In other news like that, William Hurt has also passed away. 2022 is not being kind to us this year. Academy Award winner who played General Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU. He passed away from natural causes, confirmed by his family yesterday, March 13th as well. And, he was 71 years old. And it was one of those things, like when he showed up in, the Incredible Hulk, like, man, he's fantastic in that. He's awesome. And then when he showed back up in Civil War, it was a big deal, because it was like the first time the MCU acknowledged the Incredible Hulk in a big, or in a substantial way. There was some acknowledgement in Iron Man 2, but it was just a cool way to start connecting the universe. And he was in Infinity War, he was in Endgame, and he showed back up again in Black Widow. And there's always this part of me that was like, man, I knew he was getting older, but there was always a part of me that was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if he would become Red Hulk? Like, because in the comics, he goes under experimentation, I think, to fight the Hulk, and he ends up becoming the Red Hulk. And like, his ability is that the angrier he gets, I believe, the hotter he gets, and he can like go basically beyond nuclear, the temperature he can get, and people can't really touch him. And he's also super strong and those kind of things too. But he was like the Hulk, but a little bit different. His power set was a little different, and he led the Thunderbolts, obviously Thunderbolt Ross, and he was a part of all kinds of cool things. And he was a great addition, and it was one of the things like I always wanted to see. I always want to see William Hurt here fight Mark Ruffalo's the Hulk. And we'll never get that now, but he and that's the thing too. Like, I'm coming at this from an MCU fan. He's been in a lot of cool things. Just going back and looking at his filmography and just seeing all the movies he was in. Like, oh man, I forgot he was in all this stuff. He's a fantastic actor. He's an Academy Award winner actor, and hats off to him. And thank you for all the cool content, all the cool stuff you made for us. Yeah, we'll hopefully see you later. So finally for the week, Blu-ray releases coming out tomorrow, March 15th. The newest release we have, it's brand new. It's already on Disney Plus, I believe. Maybe even HBO Max, but is West Side Story. There is a steelbook from Best Buy, and there is even exclusive Blu-rays from Target and also Walmart as well. We have a lot of 4K re-releases coming out tomorrow, and here they are. Let me name them off for you. So American Werewolf in London, The Sword and the Sorcerer, The Apartment, Shooter, Sonic the Hedgehog. There's the Amazing Spider-Man 2 film collection being dropped right before they drop Spider-Man No Way Home, and of course there's going to be some big-ass 8-movie collection that's going to have all of them in there. But tomorrow you can get at least Andrew Garfield's 2-movie collection on 4K Blu-ray. And the last but not least, 1970s, Le Cercle Rouge. So those are all the 4K releases. A lot of old school here, a lot of 80s, 60s, and 70s movies. So check those out if you're interested. If you're a fan of those movies. I've never seen. I've only seen obviously Spider-Man, but and Sonic, but I've seen Shooter, but I haven't seen any of these other ones. I know widely. I've never seen American Werewolf in London. I need to watch that. I know it's on the bucket list. But anyway, that's all the movies coming out tomorrow, March 15th on 4K Blu-ray. So go check those out. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have watched the live stream, I apologize. We don't have any guests on. I honestly kind of threw this one together last second. It's been a very busy week on my end, but I did bring you the news here at 2 for 1 Joe Live every Monday at 9 a.m. If you can, or if you want to write in the show, you can always leave a comment in the comment section below, or you can always write into bit.ly/2for1mail, which is right here on my screen, right above my logo, which I'm not a fan of that being right there. I'm going to move it over here, actually. There you go. Bam. bit.ly/2for1mail. You can always write in there to the show. We either answer on the podcast, which comes out, weekly as well, or we might answer it here on the show. If you want, you can always say, hey, I want this to be answered on 2 for 1 Joe by Luke or Joel or whoever, and we can do it wherever you want us to do it. I don't care. But always run into it. It's always a good time. Again, hit that subscribe button. It helps people find the channel, helps people, get in touch with us, and it kind of helps the channel grow. It really helps us out. We don't make any money from this. We spend a lot of money, actually, and a lot of time making this kind of content. So it really appreciative for you guys to show your support. So because we have a lot of cool things that we want to make and things that we are making that we haven't released yet. And, it's always good incentive to get us there. And we're at, I think, 239. Again, we're babies. We're like babies crawling here, subscriber-wise. But I would love it if we got 241, because, obviously, for obvious reasons, right, everybody? So 2 more subscribers. Just make my week. Give me 2 more. That's all I need. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll have some more news this week. And again, we're talking The Boys Diabolical. Me and Daniel are later in the week on the podcast. We'll be streaming probably sometime, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, probably Wednesday night. You always check on YouTube channel or on Facebook for more updates on when we'll be doing that, so you can be watching us live. Of course, we're also on all podcast services on Podcast 2 for 1, and 2 for 1 Joe is exclusive to YouTube. Again, Mondays at 9 a.m. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to drink Dunce coffee. You guys have a good week, and I will see you guys